'Tis the season for political retirements. 3 senior members of the House announced yesterday they are heading for the exits, giving each party new opportunities ahead of the November midterm elections. We examine the landscape 1 year out with NewsHour political editor Christina Bellantoni. Christina, do this wave of retirements, if we can call it a wave, does it benefit one party or the other?
Well, retirements always offer any party an opportunity because there's a power of incumbency. So Democrats like their chances in Virginia, where Frank Wolf has retired there. He's a longtime Republican. It's one of those growing outer suburbs that are key to Democrats winning in that battleground state. And then you also see in Iowa, which is a longtime swing state, you've got a Republican, Tom Latham, retiring. He'd been there for many years, never really ran statewide. They thought maybe he'd be a Senate candidate. Now he's leaving. So both parties see some potential opportunities there. But then, of course, there's Utah, Jim Matheson, and he is a longtime Democrat, and Republicans say this is a very good seat for them. This is one of 7 very Republican districts that George W. Bush won, John McCain won, Mitt Romney won. So that's a seat that Democrats aren't going to be able to capture. They need 17 seats to be able to reclaim control of the House. That's a long way away.
And that was always considered to be a long way away, but it doesn't help at all when people decide to retire.
Not at all. And they don't like defending open seats that they have. But the Republicans are actually retiring at a higher rate. It's 11-1 Republican retirements versus Democrats. And when you talk to the Democratic campaign committees, they say they see that as expanding their map. They see opportunities in places like Arkansas, North Carolina, other places in the South, Florida, some other states like that.
Well, let's talk about the Senate, because in the Senate there are also retirements, and there's a better chance of gaining or regaining control for Republicans, perhaps.
Absolutely. So the Senate, Republicans need 6 net seats to be able to take control back. 3 of those seats might look pretty easy at this point. You've got West Virginia, where Jay Rockefeller, a Democrat, is retiring. You've got South Dakota and Montana. Those are pretty likely Republican pickups at this point. So that's really only 3 seats they need to win control back. Now, there are incumbents who are on the ropes there.
Let's start with North Carolina.
Yes.
Kay Hagan.
So Kay Hagan, she is a first-term Democrat. She is close to the president. She has taken some votes that have put her at risk. But it's one of those states that's really changing in its demographics. President Obama won it in 2008, tried to win it in 2012 and came close. So the Democrats are really putting a lot of energy there. If she can hold on, it shows the changing demographics of this area.
And in Arkansas, Mark Pryor.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting state. Arkansas, it used to be a Democratic state. It's been trending Republican. He's not very popular right now, but he's tried to distance himself from the president as much as he can. There is the power of incumbency, of course, but he's running against a freshman Republican House member. Not necessarily that popular, but he's running ahead. That's Tom Cotton.
Now, there's also an off chance that Georgia might end up being interesting, because that's an open seat all of a sudden.
Yeah, so you have Saxby Chambliss retiring, and one of the Democratic stars of the National Party this year is Michelle Nunn. They think that she can raise a lot of money. She's the daughter of a former senator, well known. She's a woman, being at the top of the ticket. At the same time, there's an interesting governor's race happening with Jimmy Carter's grandson running, and so maybe that's going to be 2 big-name Democrats that could help things, and Republicans have a very intense primary in that Senate side. You're going to have multiple candidates fighting it out, and that could end up helping the Democrats. It's another state where changing demographics might be a seat they could pick up.
I want to step away from all of these seats, because they mean more than just individual races. 2014 could be a real critical election. And what are the issues that are driving all these elections on either side?
Healthcare remains a big issue, actually, for both parties. The Republicans think that this is a winning issue for them. They say they're going to continue to criticize the president, hope that his approval ratings continue to go down. In both House and Senate races, they think that if they tie Democrats to the president in an unpopular healthcare law, that could help them. But the president and Democrats think, well, healthcare, there's a lot of good things about it. We're going to keep running on that. And the Democratic message is really pointing at Republicans. Well, they just want to repeal all of the good things in the healthcare law. They just want to focus on a broken website and not necessarily the bigger picture. So that will continue to be a battle. It's the 3rd straight election we're running on the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, it keeps coming back. But are there any other issues? Is it spending? Is it taxes? Is it the things we usually are used to hearing about in these kinds of elections?
There is plenty of that, and Republicans are saying that they're the fiscal stalwarts. They're also saying that people like a check and balance on a Democratic administration, so maybe they deserve to keep the divided government. The Democrats are talking about this so-called war on women. They're saying that Republicans want to get involved in women's health issues or take those types of things away from them. So you're going to keep hearing those sort of themes that have been effective in a lot of places, including in this last governor's contest in Virginia.
Now, finally, just to wrap it up, people look at midterm elections, and it's usually not good news for an incumbent president, but this is a lame duck president. Does the president's right now rock bottom unpopularity where he is, does that affect what happens in these races and the outcome?
Both parties will say it depends on where you're looking. In the case of Tom Latham, we talked about from Iowa a moment ago, they did a poll in that district. President Obama is at 61% disapproval there. That matters. But in a state where it's maybe more liberal, it's not necessarily going to matter. The Senate races are probably a little closer to it.
Christina Bellantoni, you spent a couple years here as our political editor. Now you're leaving us and going off to become Editor-in-Chief of Roll Call. Thanks so much for everything you've done for us.
Thank you. Missed the NewsHour already.